Welcome to My View On, a series of podcasts where experts in the industry give their personal view on some of the big topics making waves in the media. All of the views are the experts' own, providing a fresh look at key issues facing the financial industry. Well, Chancellor Philip Hammond has delivered his first autumn statement to the House of Commons. As expected, there was much speculation surrounding his plans for managing Britain's economy post-Brexit. But what, if anything, did he have to offer savers? Joining me to discuss this is Nick Sleep, Strategic Account Manager, and Neil MacGillivray, Head of Technical Support, both with James Hay. Gentlemen, welcome. Neil, to you first, what did you make of this first autumn statement from our new Chancellor?
I have to say, not very much. There was very little really covered. There was a lot of just confirmations of stuff that we already knew. I think what was surprising was the announcement that the money purchase annual allowance was to be reduced from £10,000 to £4,000. Now, that's to be consulted upon, but it is the aim to introduce it in April 2017. Now, the striking thing is that the pension freedom legislation has only come in on April 2015, so it seems quite remarkable that they're already taking to steps to change it. Now, we have to be realistic here. Only 3% of individuals aged over 55 actually make pension contributions in excess of £4,000. And of that 3%, only a very, very small percentage will actually already be taking tax benefits from their pension arrangement. In fact, the amount the Treasury thinks it will save by making this change is £70 million. But the core problem to me is that pension freedoms, as I say, it's been with us for less than a year and a half, and already they're starting to chip away at the key foundations of it. And I think that will cause concerns as to what future changes may they consider wanting to make.
So chipping away at the foundations of pensions freedom. Nick, what do you make of that? Do you agree?
Well, I think it's a little broader than that. I think what they've done is they've looked at the people who are actually making pension contributions, having drawn down some of their pensions, and they tend to be the wealthier individuals anyway. And if you look at basic rate taxpayers making a contribution and then taking it out from a pension, they're actually making a gain of 6.25%, which is 6.25% that is sponsored by HMRC at a time when we can't afford to be giving away money. And my concern is that actually they've reduced it to £4,000. Why didn't they just get rid of it completely? People don't need incentivising in that situation, and what they could do with those funds is actually put them into a GIA and accumulate funds in that. They are tax efficient. You're only paying 10 or 20% on those, and you've got the capital gains tax allowance in addition to that. So why do these people need incentivising to put money back into the pension from which they've withdrawn? I just think it would have perhaps been better to get rid of the whole thing completely and have no money purchase annual allowance at all.
But what do you think about Neil's point that it's as much about the spirit of the policy that they're attacking rather than the actual policy itself, that they're chipping away at the foundations of pensions freedom?
Yeah, I agree with that. I think clients are going to be confused. If they're not already confused with a lot of the pension issues and savings issues that are out there. And from a planning perspective, these amendments, these tweaks do undermine people's confidence in making long-term decisions. But I think if they're going to do this and actually make an amendment, they could have gone the whole hog and got rid of it.
Neil, what do you make of the rest of the autumn statement there? You've given us your sort of top-line thoughts, but the Chancellor had a few things to say. Anything else that you took away from it?
Yes, salary sacrifice. Now, this has been talked about for quite some considerable time, and we know that previous governments have looked at the possibility of scrapping it, and they have scrapped it for certain benefits in kind, but they have retained it for pensions. Now, this is, I think, quite a good thing. The problem is, I think one of the things we'd been hoping for was a clearer idea of the future of where pensions were going from Theresa May's government, and we haven't really got that. But the fact that they are still allowing pensions to have a benefit through salary sacrifice is good news, and it makes one hope that perhaps they are going to just sort of give a bit of respite and stop attacking the tax benefits that pensions have.
Nick, what did you make of the rest of the statement? Was there anything in there that would really catch the eye of savers?
No, I don't think there was anything in there whatsoever. They didn't mention the lifetime ISA once. There wasn't any mention of any amendment to tax relief that had been consulted on last year. They seem to have kicked that down the road or even ignored it completely. It makes me wonder whether actually he's just deferring any kind of decision whatsoever in this tumultuous period where we've had a lot of change politically, or whether actually he might come back to it in the future when he's got more of an indication of the economic implications of these changes.
Okay, so both of your final thoughts. Neil, where do you think this leaves pensions at the moment then?
I think we have, as I've said earlier, a period of respite. We're not really clear as to whether we're going to an ISA-centric world or whether the tax advantages that pensions have will continue. For my part, it would have just been good to have some clarity on that, but they seem to have avoided the subject completely. George Osborne made it quite clear after he left office that he felt he wanted to go towards an ISA-centric world, but we've not had any sort of thoughts from Hammond or any views given that that's something that they wish to continue with. So we'll really just have to bear with it. But as I say, just be grateful that we've got the status quo for tax relief and pensions remains.
And Nick, your final thoughts?
Well, I think it was a very cautious statement. I don't think it was anything revelationary. He didn't want to do anything that was going to... he was going to be held account to at a later date. I think he was very canny with his strategy to put out lots of gloomy projections for the near future, because it does allow him to come back at a later date if they're not as gloomy as predicted, with the ability to say that it was his amendments that have caused the better outlook. So from a strategic point of view, I think it was perhaps a clever budget, but from an actual policy point of view, there wasn't anything there, which means that planning, we are as we were.
Well, gentlemen, that's all we've got time for. Nick, Sleep Strategic Account Manager, and Neil MacGillivray, Head of Technical Support. Gentlemen, thank you both very much.